Okay, I want you to imagine something. You save up for 10 solid years. You're living on ramen, working multiple jobs, saying no to everything, all to finally buy your own home. It's the ultimate dream, right? Independence. But what if the moment you achieve that dream, your own family turns on you and tries to take it all away? Well, this isn't a hypothetical. This is the unbelievable true story we're about to get into.
Yep, you heard that right. This was the new reality for a young woman named Stephanie. Just 21 days after she got the keys to her very first home, she finds a stack of court papers in her mailbox. And the plaintiffs? Her own mother and father. This wasn't some kind of misunderstanding. This was the start of an all-out war over money, family, and, as we'll see, control.
So to really understand how a family even gets to a point like this, we have to go all the way back to the beginning. Now, from the outside, Stephanie's childhood probably looked totally normal. But behind closed doors, her life, and especially her finances, were under this level of scrutiny that is, honestly, it's just astonishing.
Look, this was not your typical parental guidance. This was extreme micromanagement. From the time she was 10, Stephanie had to submit spreadsheets just to get her allowance. Every single purchase was questioned. When she finally got a part-time job as a teenager, you guessed it, her earnings went straight into a joint account that her parents watched like a hawk. And to make it all worse, her own brother basically acted as a spy, reporting her spending habits right back to them.
Now, at the very heart of all this control was this concept her parents called the family fund. It was supposed to be this collective pool of money that everyone in the family was expected to contribute to. But what was it for? Well, that was never really clear. The only things that were clear were that her parents controlled it and the expectation to pay in was absolute.
The real breaking point came when Stephanie was 17. She discovered her mother had been hiding her college scholarship offers. When she confronted her, her parents' true plan for her future came spilling out. They didn't want her to go to school. No, they wanted her to stay home, get a job, and just keep paying into their fund. For Stephanie, that was it. That was the exact moment she knew she had to get out.
And just like that, a grueling 10-year journey began. She left for university 3 states away without a dime of financial support from her family. They told her if she walked out that door, she was completely on her own. And so began her incredibly disciplined, meticulous, and really a very lonely plan for total financial independence.
For 4 years in college, she was juggling classes and 2 part-time jobs. She never even went home for the holidays because she could work more. She graduated with honors, but also with a mountain of debt. And that kicked off a decade of just relentless work and saving. And here's the thing. As she started moving up in her career, she never upgraded her lifestyle. Every raise, every promotion, it all just went straight into her savings account.
And the reality of that sacrifice was, well, it was brutal. For years, her budget was just a masterclass in how to live on nothing. She lived with 3 roommates in a tiny room that was basically a converted closet. Any social invitations were always a no. Her wardrobe was all thrift stores, and her meals were just a constant rotation of rice, beans, and ramen. Life was stripped down to the absolute bare essentials. Just work and save.
And after 10 years, 2 months, and just countless sacrifices, this was the result. $350,000. Every single penny of it earned and saved entirely on her own. She had actually done it. And you have to understand that money wasn't just for a house. It was the price of her freedom.
So, with her goal finally achieved, Stephanie starts the house hunting process. This is the moment she'd been working towards for a solid decade. But the triumphant purchase of her first home would very quickly spiral into the worst crisis of her life, turning her absolute dream into a total nightmare. She found this modest 3-bedroom house for $282,000. It wasn't fancy, but it was perfect. The first night, she just slept on an air mattress on the floor, too excited to even sleep, finally feeling that tight knot that had been in her chest for years start to loosen. After a decade of struggle, she was finally home.
Hoping, maybe, that this achievement could mend the relationship, she reached out to her family. They invited her to what turned out to be a very tense family dinner, and it was there, right after she described her new home, that her father leveled this accusation at her. He claimed the money she saved, the money she earned through a decade of brutal, non-stop work, wasn't really hers.
This is what they said she owed them: $95,000. Her parents had calculated exactly what they believed was her required contribution to the family fund for the past 10 years. Their demand? Sell her new house, pay them the money, and then they could, quote, put this unpleasantness behind them. When she refused, they sued her.
And so, just like that, Stephanie found herself in a courtroom,
preparing to defend her entire life's work against the two people who were supposed to be her biggest supporters. The lawsuit became this huge legal battle that would force all the darkest parts of their family history right out into the open.
Their entire case was flimsy, resting on this idea of an implied agreement. They actually argued that the financial discipline they taught her was a family resource she used to get rich, and so they were entitled to a cut. Stephanie's defense was pretty simple. It was the truth. 10 years of bank statements, pay stubs, and testimony from old roommates, proving every single dollar was hers and hers alone.
The real turning point in the trial came when Stephanie's mother was on the stand. See, she was trying to paint her daughter as irresponsible, and she claimed they had to send Stephanie money multiple times in college. But she had already testified under oath that they provided zero financial support. That contradiction was a fatal blow to their credibility.
The judge saw right through all the emotional appeals. After reviewing all the evidence, the financial records, the conflicting testimonies, she delivered a swift and decisive verdict. The parents' lawsuit was thrown out. Stephanie had won. Her house was safe.
And with these really powerful words, the judge didn't just rule on the case, she validated Stephanie's entire experience. She nailed the core issue. This was never about a financial agreement. This was a toxic attempt at control disguised as family values.
Now, the legal victory was clear, but the emotional fallout was, well, it was complicated. Winning the case meant losing her family, probably for good. In the aftermath, Stephanie was forced to confront the grief of that loss and really redefine what family and freedom truly meant to her.
Right outside the courthouse, her brother confronted her, calling her selfish and cruel. And when he asked her, "Who will be there for you now that you're all alone?" her answer was just so clear. She'd already built a new family, one based on unconditional support, not conditional love. And that was the final painful break.
The healing process was slow. Of course it was. She started therapy to work through all the grief and the guilt. She leaned hard on her chosen family of friends. And eventually she even began to rebuild a very tentative relationship with her brother, but this time with firm boundaries. She learned that independence isn't selfish, it's absolutely essential for any real relationship.
Stephanie's story is such a powerful reminder that the most valuable thing we can ever own isn't property, but freedom. The freedom to live by our own values and to build a life on our own terms. And it really leaves us with this fundamental question. What truly makes a family? Is it the blood we share, or is it the unconditional support we choose to give?